Good morning. I would like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are gathered and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. I would also like to acknowledge any sorry business that may be being felt in the community at this point in time. My name's Councillor Tony Hall. I'm joined by Director Brad White. Welcome to the City Lifestyle Committee meeting of the 9th of July 2025. I declare this meeting open at 9:48. I would like to advise attendees in the room that this meeting is being webcast and audio recorded. We'll begin with attendances and leave of absences. We have two, and we'll do those individually. We'll do a leave of absence for Councillor St. Ledger. Can I have a mover for that? I believe that was Councillor Stamp, followed by Councillor Jackson. Can I see a show of hands? That has been carried by everyone in the room. And next we'll have a leave of absence for Councillor Fraser. Can I have a mover for his leave of absence? I believe that was Councillor Bradley, followed by Councillor Bannon. Can I see a show of hands? That has been carried by everyone in the room. There is now a motion displayed on the screen to confirm the previous minutes. And it says that the minutes of the City Lifestyle Committee meeting held on the 11th of June 2025 be confirmed. Do I have a mover for the motion displayed on the screen? Councillor Stamp, followed by Councillor Bannon. Can I see a show of hands? That has been carried by everyone in the room except for Councillor Bradley. How do you vote?
I'll abstain because I was unwell.
Understood, that would be noted.
Point of order, Mr Chair. Again, I'll raise the same point of order that I raised in the last committee meeting. It's been 4 weeks since the last committee round. There's been plenty of time to review the stuff so that the minutes are confirmed. It's not about the decision making within that committee, it's just that the minutes are correct. Councillor
Bradley, can you please respond to that point of order?
I'll leave that for you to determine whether that is a point of order or not.
Councillor Lane, in light that precedent has been set in the previous meeting, I believe it is best that we move on the matter. We've got a little bit to go through today, and I believe you'll be vigilant on these matters in the future. Am I right?
Thank you, Mr Chair.
I now refer to the declarations of conflicts of interest. Do any councillors wish to declare a conflict of interest today? There being none, I will now refer to the reports on today's agenda. Our first report for item 6.1 is the 2024 to 2025 event delivery review and 2025 to 2026 event calendar. This is a public report. And we have, as the presenting manager, the venues and event manager, Mr. Brad Page, and I believe he is joined by your first time attendee, Melinda Hill. Is that correct? Okay, welcome to the party. Mr. Brad Page, you may present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yes, just introducing Mel Hill, who's our acting PL for events, whilst Ellie Griffiths is on maternity leave. So welcome to the room as such. Councillors, the report you have before you today is effectively in two parts. The first part is a year in review of the events that have been delivered by our events team, so our internally delivered events. So Imagination, Leaf, Flame Festival, those type of events. And the second part of the report is essentially the same piece of work, but a forward-looking plan of the calendar for the next 12 months. I'll also take a moment just to acknowledge that next Tuesday we have a workshop that looks to talk about our community delivered events at our council venues. So events such as NAIDOC that occurred yesterday, fantastic day for it. That's the workshop to deal with anything outside of the calendar of events. So today is all about internally delivered events by council's event team. What else we got? We also have a year in review quick video that I wouldn't mind playing for you, just to celebrate some of the successes over the past 12 months. Following that, happy to take any questions or any feedback for the balance of that report. Thank you. Apologies, it may have got stuck on that last slide accidentally. So. Again, happy to take any questions and feedback. Obviously, the report does provide an option for a minor tweak as well. So, over to you, Mr. Chair.
We sure this shouldn't have been in confidential. Sorry, councillors, does anyone have any questions? I don't think we have any questions.
Yeah. Sorry. So I just wanted to hear.
Sorry, Councillor Wilcox.
Sorry, through the chair. I just wanted to hear the benefits about option 2 from you and revising all of them in. Like, I just want to hear a bit more from you.
Yeah, look, you're talking about, sorry, for reference, you're talking about taking the current model of the sports awards and I guess extrapolating that into a more holistic awards, City of Excellence type awards. As far as the categories for that awards, we've provided some proposed options. The benefits really relate to a much broader catchment to acknowledge and represent the broader excellence or community excellence that occurs across the city rather than specific to one category. The outcome would still maintain the sports component, so that would still be a primary part of it, but it would just expand it. We believe we can do a bigger, more holistic delivery for the same or a greater financial expenditure, and also possibly grab a wider audience and greater sponsorship, so it can be done in a more efficient manner.
Can I keep asking? So,
of course.
Thank you. So, with a revised City of Logan Excellence Awards, like, I actually don't mind it. I think it's actually not bad because I think the numbers have been dwindling on a couple of the events and that sort of thing. My only concern is, so as councillors, we're allocated one table. Does that mean if we're combining it all, do we get 2 tables? And then does that take it away from other people wanting to buy tickets to come? So then we might have less places, or does it make them busier? Like, what are your projections? Because then if we're wanting to invite, great, we want to invite all of our sporting communications. I know that Councillor Murphy, Councillor Lane have so many groups that they need to, they want to invite and that sort of thing. I'm a little bit concerned we might be hamstrung down there. It'd be great once we have the new venue up and running, but whilst we're down here, we might be a little bit hamstrung in there as to how many people we can invite and then how many tickets we get to open up. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, thank you through the chair. For reference, last year, and you're right, the attendance has been decreasing over the last couple of years. A large part of that is the cost to attend, which is one of the areas we're trying to address with a more efficient program. We're not trying to make money, we're trying to reduce the cost of entry. So by doing a broader event, we can make it more efficient. The intent is to bring the entry price down. For reference, last year we had circa 250 people attend a facility that could house 450. So we have a significant surplus available, so I don't potentially see any great issue about restricting attendance and telling people no. a great problem to have if we have people wanting to come that can't fit. Were that to be the case, we do have an option to look at Metro to bump that out to another 600, 700. And again, from a future piece, you're right, the future venue, 1,000.
Councillor Jackson.
No, it's all good. That was my question answered. Thank you.
Councillor Stemp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I sent through a few questions, Brad, and I appreciate you answering them for me. It was just interesting. I did a little bit of research to see what other LGAs are doing in this space, and I noticed that Ipswich, they have a sports awards. Redlands, they have an awards run by the Redlands Coast Sports Hall of Fame Committee, which is completely external to the council. And you sent me through some information about Moreton City Council and the fact that the staff deliver civic events like citizenship, but external contractors and community groups deliver the balance of events. I guess, is that something we're trying to explore for the future to see if there are opportunities for others to run some of these events?
Thank you for the question. Through the chair, you must have been reading my emails. Yes, that's the bigger scheme of things. This is a short-term calendar for 12 months. The next piece of work is a greater event strategy, which includes major events that activate the city, the reputation, the brand, some more community-focused pieces around the NAIDOCs, etc. But part of that discussion is exactly that. How can we best deliver the greatest bang for our buck for our community without decreasing things? So we're not about saving money and doing nothing. We're about ideally doing more for less, but doing it better as well. So exactly that is part of that future event strategy.
Any other questions? Okay. As the chair, I probably would like to deliver my own thoughts on this. I'm actually advocating more towards option one, simply because in the past, with these awards, I've always personally paid for myself individual tables so that I could get as many of my sports teams at the sports awards as I possibly could. For me, I think rolling everything into one large event in some way diminishes the value of what that award is about. I've particular people in my area, and I know you all do as well, where they won't go to anything unless it's all about sports. That is just what they are about. That is their driving focus. That is what is important to them. They probably wouldn't mingle so well with some of the more community-minded, more volunteer side of things, even though they do have volunteers at their sports clubs. It's just the way they are. I know that when we have a sports awards, there we'll have all different people in the room, but they'll all know each other because they're all involved in sports, and that's what's important to them. Whereas we'll have a room full of, in the volunteers awards, there will be a room full of volunteers. I can very honestly say, if you put both of those groups in one room, there'll be quite a few people that really don't know each other. My gut feeling is that some of my clubs probably won't go to something which is not an awards purely dedicated for sports. Another thing is there's quite a few awards that we do in that space, and fitting it all into one night is probably going to be a bit chaotic. And for me, as I purchase my own tickets personally, it's been the case that these awards have been spread out enough that I could gather enough finances to actually be able to cover the cost of that. Covering the cost of bringing people to the sports awards and the volunteer awards is probably going to blow up for me, not be so easy. I don't know how it'll be for other councillors. My preference would actually be to do something like a workshop to try and work out what we can do to make better events. So one of the ideas I had was we have an environmental award. I believe that should actually be part of the LEAF event. And that was something that I would like to would have seen out of option two. I'd probably have the sports award completely separate from a volunteers award. I'd probably have the community award and the volunteer award as one event. My personal opinion is I believe this needs to be something that's got to be workshopped. with the thoughts and opinions of the councillors and the council staff, just to, you know, kind of have a premium outcome as to how we can head forward on this. But as it stands for me, the best option that I'm seeing in front of me is business as usual, which is option one. And that is purely my opinion. And I understand that other councillors may have a totally different opinion. You've got a question, Councillor Bradley?
Not so much a question, Chair. Just you reminded me, once upon a time there used to be a garden award for the city as well, and that seems to have died too. So there are other awards that could be added, but I think a workshop would be a good idea. That's more a question, not a question.
Councillor Wilcox?
Thank you. Sorry to have another chop. I'm just, when you're reading the option one and the option two, the current and then the revised at the back, the only thing that's changed is the City of Logan Sports Awards has become the City of Logan Excellence Awards, and you're pushing out to February, April. But then when you read through the potential awards categories, and you have the volunteer award in there, is that a volunteer award that's meant to be going to someone that's in the sporting realm or an excellence, or is that like a volunteer, because we still have the volunteers breakfast that's listed on the current and the revised list? And then the environmental award, I agree, that should be in leaf. Then the innovation entrepreneur for me should be someone in the business awards. So for me, the proposed list on this page, it's a little bit clunky for me. So is there a way that, you know, if you want to do, and if people agree, the City of Logan Excellence Awards, can we still have it in November this year, so that we're not losing that, and then refine in a workshop, you know, the types of awards and that sort of thing? It's just a little clunky.
Thank you for the question. Through the chair, we can do anything, of course. We are the events team. That said, a couple of caveats. You know, there's lead times for this. Sorry, Mel can do anything. There's lead time attached to some of these pieces. So, in reality, just to address the volunteer awards piece, you know, the proposal was we acknowledge the importance of the volunteers breakfast. It's a BAU piece. The proposal, again, for consideration, was that the actual physical award piece lives in the main ceremony or the main awards night. And how that practically could work out would be you've got a room full of volunteers that are getting acknowledged at the breakfast, and you then have the opportunity to tell those people that the awards piece is coming, make sure you're nominated, get your nominations in, we really want to support you. And they still get the acknowledgement of the day, but the actual physical award piece from an efficiency standpoint stands in a single awards night. To Councillor Bradley's point, I'm sure my events team would love to do as many awards as possible, but there's the fiscal responsibility piece of doing that. Integrating into LEAF, we did consider that. It's a reasonable idea, and we can do that, but even doing that is probably a lead time to get that done. So today we're probably, to bring it back on topic, we're talking about what do we want to do for 12 months. This is more than likely not what's going to happen for the rest of the next decade. It's about how do we get through the next 12 months. Do we continue as we are, or do you want to make a little tweak here or there, or do you just want to keep going and bring a bigger piece of work back in the next 6 to 12 months?
Mayor Raven.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, there's still events missing from this list. So the Eco Forum is there, which is where a whole bunch of environmental awards get handed out sort of after LEAF. And I know it's not run by the events team, it's run by different. It would be good to get a whole of organisation view of every single event that we run and bring them all into one spot, because similar to Shadow IT, it feels like there's some shadow events running around where like duplication is happening, and you could either blend them or you could add more into them, make them bigger, whatever you want to do if you're having a strategic approach to it. I don't have a problem with the chair's suggestion of a workshop. I will just add that a number of people who aren't sporting teams comment to me around the sports awards getting put up on their own pedestal, whereas other volunteers have a breakfast they don't feel as valued because it's not a big dinner event, and other segments of the community that do dance and other bits and pieces, performing arts, don't feel acknowledged at all, whereas you could include them in a Logan Legends or a City of Excellence sort of event. So if we're going to do a workshop, whole of organisation assessment of where all those events are hiding and drag them all back into the events team where they belong, because you guys run events or outsource events if that's where we end up going to, and then understanding too, like, what segments are we actually targeting here, because we're sort of looking at our old list and trying to work our way through it, which is great, but we haven't looked at what segments are we missing completely, who's not getting acknowledged, who doesn't have their time in the sun, can we include them without driving up costs massively? So rather than just looking at slices, can we look at the whole thing and be nice and strategic about it?
Thank you for the
We
question.
can do, and I know you can do anything. Well, Mel can.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, through the chair, we've already done a reasonable amount of that work. So we've got a big list of events/activities that occur throughout council. Many branches do a version of mini events here and there, and that is part of that future body of work that's to come. Again, today is purely about what do you want to see done for the next 12 months, not past that date. So happy, and the intent has always been to bring back a greater piece of work for the future. Today is about what do you want to see for the next 12 months. We can do BAU, or we can do a minor tweak now, but if you prefer not to, then BAU, and we'll bring back that bigger piece via workshops over the next 12 months is one option.
Just to finish off, Mr. Chair, sorry, I think I'm leaning towards BAU unless there's significant budget pressures on continuing BAU, because I note that you're getting less sponsorship for some events, so there's going to be more bottom line pressure due to those events. So if BAU has a significant budget impact, and the tweaking is going to mitigate some of that, I'm okay with the tweaking. But if the tweaking is really just a bit of an experiment to see how well do people respond to this, I'd probably rather do it as a structural piece where we get time to consult with the community and talk to them about what that looks like.
Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much. I think consolidating some of them is good. We had so many different categories in the sports award last year that seemed to be one group that just won it all. So it was kind of a bit, how you doing? It'd be nice to have some diversity amongst the awards, so it wasn't just sport. So I get what you're trying to do. So I'm happy to support that as an option, because I think just knocking it all out in one hit is the best option. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Okay, councillors, I'm going to foreshadow an alternative recommendation for a workshop, but what we'll do is we'll run through the options, and if both options fail, then we'll put forward my alternative recommendation of a workshop to customise what we'd like to do. So we'll begin with option one. Now, option one is basically a business as usual going forward. Sorry. Provided with advice, we need to actually go through the recommended option, which is actually option 2 first. Do I have a mover? Sorry. Sorry. We're going to table the presentation first, a lovely presentation. Everyone, you want a copy of me regunning on? I've got the photos. I can send you the photos instead. Can I have a mover for the presentation? Councillor Stemp, and a show of hands. That has been carried by everyone in the room. Okay, so with that presentation tabled, we'll begin with the recommendation of option 2 with a revised event calendar. Can I see a show of hand mover for that? That's been moved by Councillor Jackson, and that has been seconded by Councillor Lane. Can I see a show of hands in support? Okay. Oh, okay. So that has been. I'll just go through. Councillor Bradley, how did you vote?
I want to abstain and give a reason. I would have preferred a workshop, and maybe that still can happen.
Councillor Lane?
Portal.
Councillor Russell?
Apologies, I'm a little bit confused. I was thinking that if we were doing a workshop that we would maybe stay business as usual until that point.
Then don't vote for that.
That would be option 1. You're voting for option 2, which is a condensed, like all awards in one night.
Okay, I think I'll go against this one then.
That's against. 4.
4, and I'll foreshadow a GB motion for a workshop.
4. 4.
4.
4.
And I'm against. What have we got? That's actually carried. Okay. All right. Mayor Raven, did you have something?
I'm just waiting for GB, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Okay, councillors. Any councillors have any general business for the venues and event manager, Mr. Brad Page? Mayor Raven.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to, and I know that I don't think we need a general business motion for this, but it would be good to have a workshop through the informal council meeting process to go through what next year looks like. So you're going to do a bit of a, council's just endorsed a bit of a conglomeration of a whole bunch of events. Let's do a big strategic review and see what next year looks like and what that costs. That'd be amazing, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, that won't be an issue. We're partly down that journey, and I think it's the right way to do it. But BAU for the carrying on in this format is critical to getting the current events in play. So happy to do that.
Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much to you, Mr. Chair. I just want to do a public thanks to the Sean and the team for the installation of the lift at Gould Adams Aquatic Centre. Division 2, Division 5, Division 6 and Division 3 all funded that project, and we'll be down there Friday morning to have a bit of a squiz at it. But I already know that local residents are extraordinarily happy that they have access to a main pool. So thank you very much to the team, and if you could pass that along, that would be lovely.
Okay, with no further general business, Mr. Brad Page, do you have any general business for us? There being none, okay, you are free to leave. Okay, councillors, we are now moving on to item 7.1, update on community sports development proposal. I note this is a confidential report. Do I need to say this? Okay. The presenting officer is the acting sports and community infrastructure manager, Mr. Jason Chin. Now, noting this is a confidential report, did any councillors want to move into confidential for this one, or should we allow Mr. Chin to present in the public? Do I have a mover for anyone who wants to move into confidential? No? Okay, so Mr. Jason Chin, please note this is a confidential report, so please abstain from any citing any confidential references. Thank you.
Good morning, councillors. Through the chair, this report, taken as read, presents a proposed partnership agreement for council's endorsement. With the permission of the chair, there is a minor modification to recommendation 1 that we would like to make. Following distribution of this report to council, there were a few opportunities for minor changes to the proposed agreement provided as confidential attachment 3 that have been identified and reviewed with council officers. To address these items, an amendment to recommendation 1 of the report is proposed as follows. The current recommendation 1 provides that council authorises the chief executive officer to enter into a proposed funding agreement with the proponent, which is confidential attachment 3 to this report. This recommendation is proposed to be amended to that council authorises the chief executive officer to enter into a proposed funding agreement with the proponent in terms generally consistent with confidential attachment 3 to the report. This amendment will allow minor tweaks to the agreement to be made following endorsement by council. Due to timeframes necessary to make amendments to the agreement, it wasn't feasible to make these changes prior to this committee session or ordinary council. Thank you, and I'm happy to take questions.
Does any councillors have any questions? Councillor Wilcox?
I'll try to keep this as vague as possible. Just in regards to confidential attachment 4, does that mean it reduces our amount?
Through the chair, yes. So any amounts that we receive through that are received through sponsorship will reduce the amount that council has to underwrite, has to pay. Sorry.
And I know. I think I can keep it. No, I can't keep it vague. I can't keep it vague enough.
Councillor Wilcox, would you like to move into confidential? Okay.
Sorry. Yes.
Sorry, we have Mr. Brad White said he might be able to speak to that.
And I'll look to the manager to correct me if I'm wrong, but the total amount of underwriting stays the same, so that's the consistent component, but with the sponsorship will reduce what we will technically have to outlay through the year. So the total amount stays the same, but as sponsorship gains, that will take that liability off us moving forward. So ultimately we have a total commitment. We're looking to reduce that as much as possible. That has happened to an extent, and that will hopefully continue, and they're fairly confident that will, but the component around underwriting is we have to underwrite the total amount, so that won't change.
So in the budget, if it's reduced down, where does the funding come from then? For any extras if council has to pay?
I will lean on my finance managers who's in the background, but we will try and answer that in open, but we may need to go to confidential.
So what we'll be trying to do is we won't actually include it in any budget unless the occasion arises where we have to pay, at which point we will fund it through the normal means, through the budget amendment process, and I will find the funding at the point in time if required. Until then, it doesn't actually sit on the balance sheet or the profit and loss statement.
Yeah, maybe go into confidential just so I can be a bit more open with my question.
Okay, Councillor Wilcox has moved that we go into confidential. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bradley, can I see a show of hands in support? So we've got Councillor Bradley. I'll just go through. Councillor Lane, how do you vote?
For.
Councillor Russell?
For.
Councillor Jackson? For. Mayor Raven?
Against.
Councillor Hermeyer?
Against.
Councillor Bannon?
Against.
Councillor Stemp?
For.
Councillor Wilcox?
For.
Councillor Murphy?
For.
And I'm also for. That has been carried. We'll now move into confidential. Room that this meeting is again being webcast and audio recorded. Okay, so we've just moved out of confidential because we had a couple of confidential questions. Do we have any further questions for this? Okay, there being none, we are ready to vote. We did have a presentation that was in the confidential, but because we did not see that presentation, we don't need to raise that. So what we'll do is we'll vote upon the recommendation. There should be a recommendation behind me. Okay, and that has been moved by Mayor Raven and seconded by Councillor Bannon. Can I see a show of hands in support of the recommendation? That has been carried by everyone in the room except for Councillor Bradley. How do you vote?
I'd like to abstain, but then I'd have to give a reason, and I can't because it's confidential. So I'm going to have to be against.
Point of order. You actually don't have to give a reason to abstain. You would like to give a reason?
I would
for your
like to give a
abstaining?
reason, but
Okay.
I can't because it would be confidential. So it's again.
Okay, so that is noted as against. Councillor Wilcox,
I'll abstain.
would you like to provide a reason? No. Okay, that has still been carried. Okay, does any councillors have any general business for the Acting Sports and Community Infrastructure Manager, Mr. Jason Chin? Councillor Bannon.
Thank you, through the chair. Just want to thank yourself, your team, Mr. O'Brien, who's got family commitments today. I know how much effort you put in. Very excited when this finally gets announced. I know the Mayor's probably more excited than me, but yeah, I know how much work went into it. It's been a long time coming. Very proud of the work that you've done, so I couldn't thank you enough.
Acting Sports and Community Infrastructure Manager, Mr. Jason Chin, do you have any general business for us?
No.
Sorry, Councillor Wilcox, you had some general business.
Thank you, Jason. Can you please thank the whole team? The metal green toilets are officially completed. I'm going to go and do a little toilet paper ribbon cutting tomorrow. And it's going to be in baby poo brown. We're getting recycled toilet paper so that I can go and cut some ribbon and that sort of thing. So thank you very much. It's finally completed. There's still a few little things to get tweaked and that sort of thing, but please thank the team. They look schmick inside. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. How would we be able to access that review if you were to do a review? Okay.
It'll be on my Facebook with a little ribbon cutting.
Understood. Okay. With no further questions for the Community Infrastructure Manager, Jason Chin, you're free to leave. Does any of councillors have any general business for the Director of Community and Lifestyle, Mr. Brad White? Councillor Lane?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I've actually got two items. The first being I put a request through for a item that holds wheelie bins in parks, and I was told that council no longer uses those opportunities in parks for wheelie bins to be placed in, but rather a considerably more expensive option of having a box that holds a wheelie bin is the preferred method these days. Those changes have been recently made, and I wasn't aware of them, and I don't think it represents value for our local residents. I would like to potentially get a review of that decision and find out whether or not we can get the less expensive option brought back in. There's a number of bins that need changing in my area, and I don't want to have to spend so much money on things that encapsulate a wheelie bin rather than just wrapping a bin in nice stuff. And the second thing is I want to say a big thank you to various teams across your portfolio, and that's for yesterday's NAIDOC celebrations, from the Kingston Butter Factory to the grants team, from the environmental teams. It was absolutely a stunning display of what good can come in our local community at a local event, but it wouldn't have happened without the support of the grants team and without, so many people within the organisation who give so much, in particular Cassie, our First Nations officer, who put a lot of time and effort into that. I want to say thank you to her and Michelle Griffin, amazing people doing great jobs that really create wonderful outcomes for the community. So can't say enough over it. Thousands upon thousands of people. Councillor Stent was there, Chair, you were there. There was a range of other people that dropped in during the day. And it was just a massive outpouring of goodwill in our community. It was fabulous. So thank you to the team for that.
Yeah, I'd like to concur of that. It was an amazing event, smiling faces all around. It was just to see, you know, everyone coming together. Yeah. Okay. Director of Community and Lifestyle, Mr. Brad White, do you have any general business for us? There being none, I now declare the City Lifestyle Committee meeting of the 9th of July concluded at 10:29. Thank you.